Hello, Johan. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Okay, today we are going to work with the topic English translation, and we need to talk about to get into this topic what you know about English translation.
English translation, I think, is for basic English because you cannot translate when you're talking like advanced English.
Okay. It is also important to um, know that English translation here in the English language. Okay, and in any language, the translation of any language can be an arduous task, and this is because in each language there are very different expressions or ways of accommodating grammatical structures. So the main idea to achieve a safe and understandable translation is to adapt expressions in a context outside the literal translation. So when you have different expressions or words that can be translated into in a literal way, not at any time you have the real translation. So that is the time that you have to adapt those words into the context. So you can locate the context of the sentence in any word. It is possible to carry out a satisfactory communication if we practice this. Okay.
hmm
Now let's check the activity. We are going to translate a text, and you have to read the text. The text is about a travel guide to Bangkok, and you have to find two sentences of the text to appropriate their meaning into Spanish. Okay, so this means that you have to interpretate those sentences in order to create a satisfactory communication in Spanish. Okay, so
hmm
let's check the text. Let's check the text, and please read the text, Joan. Hello, Joan. Can you see the text?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Didn't specificate, and that is very important. Please read the text aloud.
Okay. Whether you're traveling to the islands or the mountains of Thailand, you're likely to spend at least one night in its capital city on the way. Bangkok might be noisy and polluted, but it's also an exciting city with plenty of things to see and do. Why not make it a longer stay? Where to stay? The Cows and Road was a famous traveler spot even before Leonardo DiCaprio's character in the film The Beach stayed there. But it's noisy, not very pretty, and not very tidy. For something more authentic, Prat Canong offers an entirely place to stay with its fantastic markets where every day Bangkok people eat, work, and live. It's not as convenient for the main tourist sites, but it has a SkyTrain station so you can be at the Grand Palace in 20 minutes.
Okay. Now, let's look for two sentences. Can you find two sentences here in the text that
Hmm.
might be kind of confusing in English if you translate literal to Spanish?
Um, Maybe the Cows and Road was a famous traveler spot.
Okay, okay, that is one, and the other one would be, for example, uh, Bangkok might be noisy and polluted, but it's also an exciting city with of things to see and do. Now, we have two sentences. The first one, could you translate this sentence into Spanish? But remember, you have to adequate the context of this sentence. What would it be the number one? Could you please translate the
Okay,
sentence
in
number one?
Spanish. Ah,
Yes, please.
Bangkok puede ser ruidoso y contaminado, pero es también una ciudad emocionante con muchas cosas que ver y hacer.
Okay. So can you see that we have the adjective exciting, and
Ujú.
sometimes in Spanish. And also, I have you ever watched movies when you look at the subtitles? Exciting is sometimes translated as excitante, and here in the context, it doesn't mean that. It means also emocionante. So that is the way that you have to adapt the context for for any situation. Now the second sentence, please. Could you please translate it into
Ah,
Spanish?
El Camino Cao fue un lugar famoso para los viajeros.
Very good. And as you can see, we have in English, we have to put first what are we going to describe, and then the adjective. So we have here the Calzone Road was a famous traveler spot, but in Spanish you say viajeros at the end of the sentence. So you have to adapt that situation.
Ujú.
Now let's check the next. Now let's check the next slide. Finally, let's check some common phrases or phrases that sometimes we translate something in a literal way and it doesn't mean the same. For example, uh, I used to live in London, but I actually live in Barcelona. So here, sometimes we associate actually like actualmente, but that is not the correct word. So instead, we say, could you please read the other sentence?
I used to live in London, but I currently live in Barcelona.
Perfect. And that is a great adaptation. So the next one, please. Could you please read the next sentences?
The red one or the green one?
Yes, the red one and the chart that says don't say, and the other chart, the red chart, please.
Okay. Having children is a big compromise, and having children is a big commitment.
Okay. So the same, we have to adapt the context. The other one would be the film was a deception, not the correct way to say it. In order to make it understandable, would be the film was a disappointment. The actors were awful. A resume of this thesis was printed in the newspaper, but that is not the correct way to say it. What would you say?
The fourth one,
Yes, please.
a resume of his thesis was printed in a newspaper, and a summary of this thesis was printed in the newspaper.
Yes, because it's a different context. And finally, I live on the fifth plant, but that is not the correct way to say it because sometimes we want to translate it in a literal way. Plant, it's talking about literally a plant, not a floor.
Mhm.
It's different. I live on the fifth floor. That would be the correct way to say it.
Mhm.
So is it already clear?
Yes.
Per- Now, let me know your doubts. Have you got any doubts?
Mm, I would like to ask you, how do you translate, like when you're speaking English with someone?
Okay, so in real time, we know that translating is very difficult because in real time you don't have time to think about like here. No, you had the sentences and you had time to think about the context to adapt the words, but um, you have to develop some kind of skills that make you think faster. So, how do you get those skills? Well, as you already know, you have to study. You have to learn a lot of vocabulary, learn a lot of sentences by heart, because that's the only way that you can manage how to translate it in a real situation into that context. Okay, so
Mhm.
keep going. You're doing great, and remember, the thing is that you have to adequate the context of what you are translating, and that is going to be key to to be successful in this topic. Okay.
Okay.
Well, thanks for your attention, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation. And if you have more doubts, please let me know, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.